First, the most important thing out of the way. This video specifically, but most videos of the series, are not completely aimed towards storytellers, that is the VtM word for Game Master, but also players and everyone else who may be interested in the topic. Also, I am aiming to make the series version agnostic. By that I mean that no matter what edition you play or run, those videos will hopefully be helpful for you. I have my preferred version, but I write my videos without one specific version or edition in mind. To be a storyteller for Vampire the Masquerade, you first need to understand the world of VtM, the so-called World of Darkness. One way to describe it would be the White Wolf RPG universe. It's the shared universe of all RPG systems of White Wolf, or currently the IP owner Paradox Entertainment. It's a world where vampires hide in the shadows to drink from their victims, where werewolves wage an eco-terroristic war against the forces of destruction, where mages try to ascend to a higher state of being and manipulate reality itself, where ghosts exist and haunt places, and where literal demons influence humanity and the world as a whole, and more. But it is also our world. The world you are born in. The world you live in. Well, a version of it at least. Before I continue, let me quote from the core books of the two most popular game versions. The world of a vampire is a dark reflection of our own. The shadows loom longer here. The night is more reluctant to yield to day. Corruption runs rampant, from the governments through private corporations and into the various subcultures that revel in the culturally bankrupt times. It's a world of contrasts, of halves versus have-nots. It's all very much like the real world, as seen through an extremely stylized filter that turned up the contrasts between dark and light. The technology is the same as ours right now, but the people who use it are different, darker in personality and motive. And that changes how the world functions. The world of darkness is a fucked up place. It is full of corruption, violence and hypocrisy. In this, it's similar to the real world, but it also has to contend with the supernatural terrors who amplify all the worst tendencies of humanity. Personally, I like the description of the 20th anniversary edition more than the one of the 5th edition, but at their core they say the same thing. It is more or less the real world, but a darker version. Imagine all the things that are bad in the real world and then multiply them by 10. A common saying is that in the world of darkness, all conspiracy theories are true. The Hollow Earth theory, for example, is canon in Mage the Ascension. Well, a version of the Hollow Earth theory at least. And don't worry, this video is still about Vampire the Masquerade, and you don't need to use the lore from other game lines or most of the VtM lore to run a good game. But it is good to have it in the back of your head, and some of it gives good explanations for the how and the why. V5 says correctly that the world is more messed up due to the supernatural influence. This is undoubtedly correct, but extremely vague. Let me go into more detail. Have you ever drank a beer? Or ate fast food? If you lived in the world of darkness, you'd be fucked. Remember what I said about the werewolves and their war against forces of destruction? One of those forces is a massive global corporation which owns global brands of fast food and alcohol. And don't worry, I'm not trying to make a health video here. Because in contrast to real-world megacorporations, Pentex does not accept that they may have a bad influence on their way to get money. The bad influence is their main goal, and the money is just a means to an end. Remember, they are controlled by supernatural forces of destruction. So, what do they do in your Coke, your cheeseburger, your cheap beer or your expensive wine? They add the secret ingredients of supernatural nature. And what does it do? Well, it influences you to be more aggressive, to be more violent, to have less empathy for others, to make you more egoistic. Of course, this then has some additional influences in how the world works. Another factor in why the world of darkness is how it is consensus, a concept from Mage. Consensus is what mages need to work against to do magic. Reality in the world of darkness is bendable. This is how magic works here. Everyone with a strong enough will can bend it to their will. But where does the normal reality then came from, you may ask? This is where consensus comes in. We humans have a tendency to be very firm in our belief what is real and what is not, what is normal and what is not. The general consensus of those beliefs is what I'm talking about. This can even be on a regional level. Consensus in a majority Buddhist region of the world is slightly different than in a majority Christian or a majority Muslim region of the world. Now, remember the secret ingredients in our fast food and alcohol. In a world where the majority opinion of the population forms reality and a big part of the population is more aggressive and violent than in the real world, the world itself becomes a world where even those which do not consume those products become more aggressive and violent, because a big part of the population agrees that this is just how the world is, how humanity is. I know, religion. Let me start by making some things clear. The world of darkness is not real life. It's a fictional setting, just like Middle-earth, the MCU or Westeros. And I personally am an atheist, so I have nothing to gain from saying one fact. In the world of darkness, God is real. But ironically, in the world of darkness, neither Christianity, Judaism or Islam are correct. How can I be so sure about this? One of the game lines of the world of darkness is Demon the Fallen, where you play demons. Specifically, the demons which rebelled against God, and the lore is different to the text of each of the three Abrahamic religions. Or, in the VtM lore, God cursed Cain with immortality and the mark, just like in the Bible. But after Cain refused to apologize for what he did, the angels then cursed him to become a vampire. But there's also one thing that hints that God may not be the only God around either: true faith. Some people in the world of darkness have a faith so strong that symbols of their faith or prayers or sometimes even just their presence can render a vampire powerless or even burn them like sunlight. Of course, that makes sense. Vampirism is cursed from God himself, so enough faith in him burns vampires. But it is not so easy. You see, it is enough to have enough religious faith, period. It is not necessarily faith to the God of Abraham. A Shinto priest or a Native American shaman can be as dangerous to a vampire as a Catholic priest and rabbi or an imam is. If your religious faith is strong enough, you get true faith. But this is rare. Due to the corrupt nature of the world of darkness, even most priests do not have true faith, even if they are faithful to their religion. This brings us to vampires themselves. Part of the curse is that they will forever be distrustful of each other, and all they work towards will crumble between their fingers at one point. They are undying monsters in a never-ending war with each other, but can't openly act due to their own societal rules to not let mortals know they exist. But it is possible to win the area of a city and rival controls by manipulating mortal politics, and all of a sudden, there is a crime-ridden part of the city. And why? Because this idiot insulted me 200 years ago by killing someone I wanted to make a vampire. He clearly deserves that. Oh, the mortals living there? Well, that's his problem, not mine. That will teach him to not just kill those I want to embrace. And yes, I know, he tried to play my good friend John, but I do not fall for that. What? It really was John, because I insulted him 100 years before that. That motherfucker! That means revenge. I know, all of this is a lot. Especially if you are a new storyteller. But I said it in the beginning already. You do not need to use all of it. There is no reason why your players need to know about demon burgers and consensus if that has nothing to do with the game you run. Many even go so far that their take on the world of darkness is literally the real world plus vampires. But now you have at least one thing which is more valuable than any rule: options. You now know how the world of darkness works, that it is a dark mirror of the real world, and why it is a dark mirror of the real world. From here, it is up to you how much you want to use for your game. You are the storyteller of your game. It is up to you to decide if the world of darkness is in dark mirror because of the things they put on fast food, or only because of vampire politics, or maybe just because it just is that way. Or maybe it really is just the real world, but vampires also happen to be real there. This is your choice.